someone to say it's okay to be go. There we go. We're live streaming.
Okay, Mayor Harding, we have quorum and we are live streaming on YouTube, so go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, everyone. It is now 9:01. I'd like to officially call this meeting, I'll call it to reorder, maybe. Is that what we're officially doing? But call it back to order from yesterday. It's a continuation of our August 10th council meeting. We did yesterday, no one declared any pecuniary interest, so that will remain the same. And all of the other things as this is a continuation, but we're going to move on. We've got a few zoning amendments, zoning bylaw amendments that we still need to deal with in today's, and then we'll be following through on our planning committee meeting minutes. Councillor Roberts, question out of the gate.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. No, I was not in attendance, unfortunately, yesterday, so I will declare that I have no pecuniary interest.
Okay, thank you very much. That's right, you were not there in the afternoon, but I appreciate that. Our first item of business is going to be a zoning bylaw amendment regarding Keen, K-E-E-N. And there we go, Ms. Walker, over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good morning, Council. In July, Planning Committee heard zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 09-22 bylaw 2022-048 in the name of Keen. The subject property is known municipally as 1086 Peyton House Road, Unit 1. Bylaw 2022-48 will have the effect of permitting a dwelling addition on a lot with an undersized frontage. In July, Planning Committee recommended approval of the application and that the subject development be made subject to site plan control. No minor amendments are required and no new submissions were received after the July Planning Committee meeting. I have no further comments, so I'd be happy to assist Council with any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I do realize we also do have an agent, April Best Sarasis, who's morning April to speak to this particular item. April,
thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. How are you? So just for the record, I'm April Best Sarasis, Senior Planner from Repoy Planning and Associates. We're located at 44 King William Street, Unit A in Huntsville, Ontario, P1H1G3. So I'd like to thank staff for all their work on this application, the recommendation for approval. I concur with the draft bylaw that's been put forward for this application. I'll keep my presentation brief, and then I'm just here to answer any questions that council may have. So as staff indicated, the purpose of the bylaw amendment is essentially to recognize the existing lot frontage to permit the construction of a two-story attached garage addition on an existing undersized lot. The proposed garage addition will be located entirely to the rear or road side of the existing dwelling, which is sufficiently set back from the shoreline as well as the side lot lines, and is compliant with all zone requirements, including setbacks and lot coverage. So we kindly request that council support staff's recommendation for approval. And again, I'm here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Council, I'm going to read first and second, moved by Councillor Nishikawa, seconded by Councillor Jagowitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-48 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014 Keen. And I'm going to assume that that is comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14. I think I've got a typo on my page, if I'm not mistaken. Keen, roll 4-1472, be read a first and second time. Council, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Ms. Walker, I heard there were no minor amendments. So not seeing any minor amendments. That's correct. I will move to third reading. Moved by Councillor Nishikawa, second by Councillor Roberts. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-48 Keen be read a third time and finally passed. Council, any questions prior to third reading? Not seeing any. All those in favor? That too carries. Thank you very much. And thank you, April, for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to move on. Keen, let's move on to Moore. I believe it's our next application, 9B5. Ms. Crowder.
Thank you, Mayor Harding. In July, Planning Committee recommended approval of zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 1222ML bylaw 2022-053 in the name of Moore. Apologize for that. The subject property is known municipally as 1212 Dawson Road. The purpose of zoning bylaw 2022-053 is to permit a dwelling to be enlarged on an undersized lot and to provide exemptions from minimum interior side yard setback requirements for walkout basement additions. No new submissions were received after the July Planning Committee meeting. During Planning Committee, it was requested that confirmation of septic capacity be confirmed for the proposal and communicated to Council. Sandy Boss, the Township Septic Inspector, confirmed that the existing septic is capable of accommodating 20 units, which the agent for the proposal has confirmed would be enough to accommodate the proposed works. I have no further comments, but would be happy to assist Council with any questions.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to do first and second reading, and Councillor Zavitz is missing from the screen. Maybe you can do a quick walk by. There he is, because this first resolution is moved by Councillor Zavitz, seconded by Councillor Bridgman. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-53 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 Moore Rule 2-1153 be read at first and second time. Council, all those in favor, first and second? That one is carried. Thank you. There are no minor amendments. So we'll move to third reading, moved by Councillor Nishikawa, seconded by Councillor Roberts. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-53 Moore be read a third time and finally passed. Councillor Roberts, question?
Concerned. I see a lot of frozen people. You and I seem to be okay. Is there anyone else? Can you see
I see everybody else moving.
anyone moving, Phil?
Yep.
You're
everyone.
not.
Everyone.
Okay. My
Are you
problem.
back? Okay. So I think Councillor Roberts, generally speaking, if more people freeze, I know our clerk will certainly stop us from moving forward, but everyone seems to be moving on my screen. So on third reading, Council, you've all heard the resolution. All those in favor, including Councillor Roberts, that is carried. Thank you. Appreciate that. Moving on to judges. Who's up? Ms. Crowder again. Emily?
Great, thank you, Mayor Harding. In July, Planning Committee heard zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 1322 ML bylaw 2022-054 in the name of judges. The subject property is known municipally as 1547 Moon River Road. The purpose of zoning bylaw 2022-054 is to recognize two lots as one for planning purposes and to provide exemptions from maximum accessory structure height to permit a two-story garage with 28.5 feet in height. Committee made a slight change to the recommendation staff prepared to recommend that access to the second-story sun deck be prohibited through the associated agreement, wherein both the waterfront and backlot parcels shall not be permitted to be transferred separately. And in July, Planning Committee recommended the approval of the application to Council, subject to the following minor amendment: that the proposed building be reduced in height to 25 feet. No new submissions were received after the July Planning Committee meeting. I have no further comments, but would be happy to assist Council with any questions.
Okay, I think I'm going to do first and second, moved by Councillor Mazan, seconded by Councillor Jagowitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-54 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 judges, Rule 7731 be read a first and second time. First and second reading, Council, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. The minor amendments as required or as specified, moved by Councillor Kelly, seconded by Councillor Bridgman. Be it resolved that Township Council amend bylaw 2022-54 judges. This amendment is minor in nature and does not require further public circulation. Is hereby approved prior to third reading. The amendment shall consist of a reduction in height of the proposed building to 25 feet. Any comments on the minor amendment? All those in favor? That too is carried. Thank you. Third and final, moved by Councillor Edwards, seconded by Councillor Zavitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-54 judges be ready third time and finally passed. Final comments, third reading. All those in favor? That one is carried. Thank you very much. Walden Investments. Who's got this one? Mr. Soya. Welcome and good morning.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good morning to everybody. In July, Planning Committee heard zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 1622 in the name of Walden Investments Incorporated. The construction of a new enlarged dwelling is proposed on this property, and the intent of the zoning bylaw amendment application is to rezone a portion of the property from open space OS2 to waterfront residential WR4, and to also provide an exemption from the minimum front yard setback requirement. Planning Committee has recommended approval subject to two requirements. Number one, that satisfactory confirmation be received that the two properties which comprise the subject lands have merged in title. In this regard, documents confirming that these two lots have indeed merged in title have been received. The second requirement calls for a satisfactory evaluation by a qualified environmental professional at the time of site plan control, advising of mitigation measures to protect fish habitat. And the proposed increase in dwelling size will trigger the site plan process, and this evaluation and the corresponding mitigation measures will be required as part of the owner's site plan application. Given that the lots have merged and fish habitat mitigation measures will be implemented through site plan control, staff have no concerns, and there are no minor amendments recommended. And I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. First and second reading, moved by Councillor Edwards, seconded by Councillor Roberts. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-72 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 Walden Investments Inc. Roll 41073 be read a first and second time. Council, all those in favor, first and second. That one is carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Sawyer. You suggested that the minor amendments or the requirements that we were going to deal with in minor amendments are actually going to be dealt with in site plan approval. So we don't need a minor amendment, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. For third and final, moved by Councillor Kelly, seconded by Councillor Mazan. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-72 Walden Investments Inc. be read a third time and finally passed. Third reading comments. All those in favor? And that one is carried. Thank you very much. I think our final of the day, Schultz, if I'm not mistaken. Schultz Gibson.
Thank you, Mayor Harding. In July, Planning Committee heard zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 1822 ML bylaw 2022-078 in the name of Schultz and Gibson. The subject property is known municipally as 1058 Weddings Road, Unit 55. The purpose of zoning bylaw 2022-078 is to recognize two lots as one for planning purposes and to provide exemptions from maximum lot coverage requirements. In July, Planning Committee recommended the approval of the application to Council. If Council is considering approval of the application, the following minor amendment has been recommended: that Schedule 3 be replaced as attached per committee's recommendation. The revised schedule has been revised to show a proposed building envelope rather than an exact building footprint. No new submissions were received after the July Planning Committee meeting. I have no further comments, would be happy to assist Council with any questions.
Okay, thank you. First and second, moved by Councillor Bridgman, seconded by Councillor Zavitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-78 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 Schultz Gibson Rule 6-277 be read a first and second time. Council, all those in favor, first and second? That one is carried. Thank you. Minor amendment, Ms. Brown, that's replacing Schedule 3, if I'm not mistaken. It's a minor amendment. Emily, just to confirm one more time before I read the minor amendment.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Councillor Roberts, seconded by Councillor Edwards. Be it resolved that Township Council amend, bylaw 2022-78 Schultz and Gibson. And this amendment is minor in nature and does not require further public circulation and is hereby approved prior to third reading. The amendment shall consist of replacing Schedule 3 to bylaw 2022-78 with a revised site plan to allow for a more general building envelope along with any necessary updates. Minor amendment questions? All those in favor? That one is carried. Third and final, moved by, let's go to Councillor Roberts. Seconded by Councillor Jagwitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-78 Schultz Gibson be read a third time and finally passed. All those in favor of third reading? That one is carried. Thank you. And council, we're also doing things slightly different. I appreciate clerk's office for doing this. We do know that we have site plan control to be implemented to a number of those. The clerk's department is now grouping all of our site plans under one bylaw, which would be great. So I'd like to read, moved by Councillor Nishikawa, seconded by Councillor Hayes. Be it resolved that bylaws 2022, 125, 126, 127, 128, 130, and 132 to designate site plan control be given a first, second, and third reading and finally passed. All the planning applications we just did, we're now carrying over in one site plan control bylaw. Councillor Bridgman, you have a question?
No, but I'd be happy to move this, seeing as Councillor Hayes isn't here.
Oh, thank you very much. I usually catch those. Appreciate that, Councillor. Greatly appreciate it. So it's moved by Councillor Nishikawa, seconded by Councillor Bridgman. Site plan control. Council, all those in favor? That one is carried. And that would be it. Just one quick question, if I may, of our planning staff or clerk, maybe Mr. Pink. We did today approve a number of zoning bylaw amendments on undersized lots that have gone forward. Later on this morning, I guess, hopefully not this afternoon, we will be considering updating our bylaws to allow development on undersized lots. For those people who've had to go through this process before we've been able to update our zoning bylaw specifically to recognize these lots as development lots, will they be getting any refunds or credits because of this sort of 10-month window that they've been forced to go through this zoning bylaw amendment? Mr. Pink.
Morning, Council. There was no intention to refund any fees, although any applicant can come and delegate if they feel a refund is warranted. I believe this was more than a 10-month window. I believe it's been about 2-3 years that we've been under this zoning bylaw, but I think you could make a similar argument every time the municipality updates the zoning bylaw. Anyone can come back and say, I might not have needed my minor variance or zoning amendment from years prior. And I would suggest that zoning bylaw is what it is, and if a property owner has to go through those fees, we incurred the expense of processing that application, council's time, etc. And I wouldn't suggest a refund, but certainly if any individual applicant felt it is warranted, they are free to come to delegate to council, and if council directs, we will refund the fees.
Okay, thank you for that. I would provide my 2 cents that 3 years ago, the zoning bylaw was written the same as it is today, and we interpreted it at the time. I believe that they didn't need a zoning bylaw amendment, and it was a building lot. Because of a legal interpretation, we've been forcing people down a zoning bylaw amendment, and at which point now we're going to update. So I'll leave my comments at that. And just to the public, I know that there's been a lot of extra work required for many applicants to be able to put an addition on their properties. So with that, I have a resolution moved by Councillor Jagowitz, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-136 to confirm the proceedings of council on August 10th and 11th, 2022 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. All those in favor? That is carried. And finally, be it resolved that council adjourn at, it is 9:19 a.m. And the next regular meeting of council will be held on Wednesday, September 14th, 2022 at 1 p.m. electronically from the council chambers, municipal offices in Port Carling, Ontario. All in favor? That is carried. Look at that. A 15-minute council meeting this morning. Who knew? Madam Clerk, we are all going to stay online, maybe take a 3-minute break, disconnect, and then reconvene as planning committee, correct? I see lots of nodding of heads. There we go. Thank you. Have a great 2-minute break, everyone.